Hey everybody, this is Eli with Elfbait and welcome back. This is day 2 of the 30-day Dungeons & Dragons challenge. If you pass your perception check, you will have noticed that I am cheating and I'm making this video on the same day that I did day 1. Time is precious, I don't have a lot of it. I wanted to get these videos out of the way. I am going to be releasing them on a daily schedule, but you know, the Activision shirt is a bit of a giveaway. Hair's in the same place, beard's still there. But anyways, day 2. So, day 2 of the 30-day Dungeons & Dragons challenge is an interesting one. But not so much. But it's a pretty basic, straightforward interview question for somebody that you're trying to find out about and to kind of cover. And that is, what is your favorite PC race? Well, for me, it's going to be, I'm going to probably make a lot of people roll their eyes, because in a fantasy realm, you got all these options. You got elf, dwarf, gnome, halfling, half orc, half elf, and every shade and flavor of those races throughout the various editions. And for me, of course, you know, if you watch the last video, I did not play many characters after 2nd edition, simply because I just went full-time DM. I was always mostly a DM anyway, so I just found that I was much happier running games than playing in them, and as a DM I could play every race, every character I wanted to, because they're all, you know, NPCs and monsters. But what is my favorite race, my favorite PC race to play in D&D? And I'm going to be super freaking exciting and go human. Why do I play human? Because nobody else freaking does. When I was playing D&D, everybody wanted to be an elf, they wanted to be Legolas, or they wanted to be Crow out of Hawk the Slayer, they wanted to be a dwarf, they wanted to be Durin, they wanted to be half-orc. Why? Because you could just be a big, burly, growly guy. You want to be a gnome. Nobody wants to be a gnome. You know, back then you wanted to be a gnome because he was good as an illusionist, and that was freaking it. You wanted to be a halfling because you wanted to be Frodo or Bilbo. You wanted to steal a magic ring and riddle in the dark with some freaky crack fiend goblin in a dungeon somewhere. And that is why you played those other races. I played humans because nobody else wanted to play them. Nobody wanted to play a regular guy in D&D. It wasn't even about stats, because back in the D&D, humans were the best class. They could do everything. They had no minimums, they had no maximums laid on them. And even after we threw out that stuff, I still played them because I liked playing humans. Humans were the bread and butter of the settings. Humans were the way that the other races interfaced with the fantasy setting. You know, having a human in the party creates contrast in the party that allows the other player character races to shine. If everybody's a damn elf and everybody's a gnome and a hobbit, who's special? They're all variations on humans. So by being a human, not only was I making the character that I really liked to play and wanted to play, because humans could be anything, but also humans allowed the party to have a baseline. Everybody else is just like, you know, above or below that baseline somewhere, and that creates your elf and your half orc and all of that. So it was really a way to like keep some sort of middle ground in the party that was fun for me to play, but also allowed the other characters, the other players, to really shine. You know, I wasn't the only human in every party, but everybody seemed to want to play something special. Now, I have played elves, and I have played elves, and I have played elves. I didn't like any of the other races. I think I maybe played one dwarf once. But elves, if I had to say there was another race besides humans, it was elves. Whether it was my ice elf from back in the day, Shagon Icehawk, or, you know, some other elf down the road, because, well, I can't remember them because I play humans. But I don't think I ever really played a dwarf more than once, and I don't think I ever made an actual halfling PC. Certainly didn't make a gnome because I hate them. I'm not a fan of gnomes. I did a video on how to fit races you don't like in the game, and that was gnomes and halflings. So, anyways, I don't think I ever played a half orc because half orcs just. I can't play that kind of character. If I can play a human barbarian, but I can't play a half orc. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyways, but humans could go anywhere. They could do anything. They were a chance This is another thing. They were a chance to create a cultural framework that wasn't defined by these racial archetypes. Fantasy, throughout the history of D&D, elves and dwarves and halflings and gnomes have almost always been very much pigeonholed into these Tolkien-esque or, older archetypes that place that above individual culture. Almost everybody who plays an elf, for example, if they play a high, whether they play a high elf or a wood elf, they're playing an elf. There's not much. In my current game, I have two guys who are playing elf characters. One of them's playing a wood elf, and one of them's playing a high elf. But neither of them, I would say, plays their character in any way that specifically shows off or highlights what the main difference between those two types of elves is. And this is what I've seen with most people playing elves, unless they're playing a freaking drow. They're pretty much just elf. In halflings, even though they have different kinds of halflings, those are almost like more like family lines and breeding stock, whatever, tall fellow, short, proud, fumbly foot, whatever it is. But, they didn't really feel like individual races. They're like, you'd have them all in one town, and they'd all just, or they weren't really sub races. And dwarves, what do you got for sub races on dwarves? You got hill dwarves and you got mountain dwarves. Basically, you got a dwarf who lives in a place that's at a higher elevation and usually buries himself on the ground. But for humans, was I playing an Asian human? Was I playing a German human? Was I playing a French human? Was I playing a Russian human? Was I playing a Native American human? Was I playing an American human? What was I playing? Where did my character come from? As a history buff all my life, growing up reading history books, humans were just this broad palette for me as a PC. As a player character, I could one week, in a one-off, I'm playing a Celtic warrior. Another time I'm playing a Viking. Sometime I'm playing, when I made the Outlaw Bullock, when the Cavalier class came out, I'm playing this big old shiny tragic Malorian knight. You just had such a broad spectrum without getting hemmed in and pigeonholed into these fantasy tropes. And so that's why I liked humans. Now, that's a short statement. It's just, it's 7 minutes of rambling. But, it like I said, it really comes down to just playing something that, that was really nobody wanted to play them because they weren't special, they weren't interesting, they weren't fantastic. But that was also this part of the challenge, was to find a character make a character who was human, but it was at the same time fantastic. Playing characters that were interesting. The Outlaw of Bullock was interesting because he was a nobleman who had done wrong. He was in the Greyhawk campaign, thus the name Bullock, which is one of the kingdoms in Greyhawk. He had done something wrong and run afoul of the entire kingdom, duchy, whatever it is, of Bullock, and spent a good chunk of the campaign always having to keep his head down, even though he's this mighty warrior. But it gave him even greater cause to fight for good and to fight for nobility. He had been wronged based on his interpretation, his trying to uphold good in law. Along with favorite race, or PC race, I'll also go on record as saying I played a lot of female characters for very much the same reason. It wasn't a chance to just play, I'm going to play the fighter with boobs. No. It was a matter of there are female characters in fantasy novels, in fantasy stories. There are female characters in fantasy art. There are female characters, and I use female just to be absolutely scientifically designated here, whatever, no gender politics. But they weren't in the game a lot of times, playing with a lot of teenage boys and grade school boys and young adult or adult men who didn't have their shit together. It was a lot of male characters, but there was never any female characters outside of the occasional priestess, princess, barmaid, whatever, or some other archetypical Valkyrie warrior woman, whatever. And I played some of those, but it was a chance. I mean, Dragonlance, I think, was the first time in the mainstream of D&D where we suddenly had something come out and it had this whole host of characters. They were all female. Tika and Kitiara and, Lorana and, all these other, Silvart or whatever, all these different characters who were, and I may have that last one wrong, but it's been a while since Dragonlance. That was the first time that really D&D players, not fantasy players, but D&D players got a good look at a cast of female characters. But I'd been wanting to do this for a while. I've been playing this. So playing that human who is different and playing that different character, and it's funny because the human is the different character. The female character is the different character in D&D. That was my thing. That was what I wanted to do. It was the chance to get in there and run a character who was not an elf. He was not, he was not Gimli. He was not Thorin. He was not Legolas. He was not Crow. He wasn't. I was much happier playing, a dishonored knight or a thief. I had a character. God, we can't remember his name. But after when we took the went through Isle of Dread in the basic expert, the BX days, when we went on Isle of Dread, we then proceeded to go around and clear the island. Our characters, we spent months of games clearing all the populations or subduing the populations, and eventually built our stronghold on the Isle of Dread. When we played Isle of Dread, we were playing it with AD&D rules. We had the AD&D book, so by the time we got it, I remember doing really silly stuff, trying to calculate how much it would cost gold piece wise from the DM's guide to surround the island in a wall. But that was my thief, had his guild there. He was human. Baelor the Barbarian, he was human. And Baelor was, kind of this, I guess I borrowed from Conan a bit, tragic, family was killed, hero kind of guy. I had Maya, who was this thief in a city campaign. She started out as kind of a pickpockety character who eventually rose to a point where she joined up with the local Thieves Guild and then ended up becoming part, one of the leaders in Thieves Guild. I had a character, I can't remember her name, man, it's been so long. This is what happens when you play characters that you really like and then don't run as a player for a long time. That part of your brain just shuts off and you don't remember them except for the really amazing, awesome ones. But I had a character who was basically a superhero in Waterdeep. When Waterdeep box set came out, we were all about making the city campaign, and so I wanted to make a character who was like Batman. So it was AD&D, I believe 2nd edition. So I took an acrobat type character and jazzed that character up to be, and it was a female character again, to be the Batman of Waterdeep. So she's an acrobat character. She carried a couple of scimitars. She had a grappling line. She had throwing knives. She wore a mask. She basically had a hood and scarf over her head. She even had a cape. Cruising through. I spent all my gold I could getting all the gizmo stuff. When the Aurora's All Realms catalog came out and it had all of its cool stuff in it, I bought that stuff. I went there and picked all that stuff up. But this is not favorite character, so this is just me explaining why I love humans. Sorry that went on a bit of a tangent, because later on down the questionnaire is, what is your favorite character? We're not there yet, so I'm sorry if I talk too much about my characters, but you'll be surprised. Favorite character was not a human. So anyways, this is Eli from Elfbait. What is your favorite character race? Who do you like? What do you like? Why do you like it? Put it in the comments below. Tell me the story of why you play what you do. If you like gnomes and you think I'm stupid for not liking gnomes, tell me. Cuss me out. Prove me wrong. Show me that gnomes are cool. If you like being a Bilbo, if you like being a Legolas, you like being Grumsh the Half-Orc, cool. Do it. Show me in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Get out there. Have fun. And, get some games in. Stop watching my videos. Go play games. Actually, seriously, don't stop watching my videos. Please watch the videos. Share the videos. Anyways, this is Eli from Elfbait. get out in game. Have a good one, guys.